Hello, this is CodeOd. Welcome back. So in this video, I want to show you how to create a function that deals with the form validation. We do not want to always write as long if statements in every PHP file that where we need to deal with form validation. We need a more cleaner way to deal with this. So it is a very good idea to create a function. But before doing that, we want to imagine how this function should work. So I want to call this function validate form. This function is going to return a boolean value, true or false, and I want to save this in this variable validation. So if true, the validation passes, otherwise false. Then I want to for this function two arguments. So the data, in our case this post super global, and the data rules. Well, the validation rules for our data, and we define this for each field. So we have username, and I want to save these validation rules in an array. So we have required, and we have mean, and then a 3 characters. So this is required, and it cannot be less than 3 characters long. This validation rule is made of 2 parts. Okay, now the email. This is once again required and has to be an email. This is the name of that validation rule. Then password, this is required, and let's see, mean 8, so no less than 8 characters long. Okay, let's see, and password, let's see, password confirm. This is required, and let's see, confirm password. This is the rule to make sure these two values we have a match for these two values. Okay, now that we know how we want this to work, it's time to create this function. And one more thing, I want to create a function for each validation rule. So this is what we are going to do right now. So function validate form. We can say array data to make sure this is of data type array data rules, and we set this by default to be empty arrays. Now we need a variable errors to hold the form validation errors. Okay, now we say for each, let's see, data rules as field and data rule. Okay, and once again for each data rule, because the validation rules are in an array, so data rules as rule. Perfect. Now we have to check for that if we have a validation rule made of 2 parts. So I can use this function strPos. This function takes 2 arguments, the string and the substring, in which the substring that I want to search for in this string. If this is false, it means that this was not found. So this substring was not found in this string, otherwise this was found. So if it was found, then we have a validation rule made of 2 parts. So let's see, rule parts, and we want to use the explode function to break that string into multiple strings that are saved and returned as an array. So let's see, we have explode. We need a separator so that we can break that string and the string that we want to break, and this is our rule. Okay, now right before this is if statement, we can create this variable result. This is where we want to store our error message, and we define this by default as an empty string. Okay, then we say result, and we call this call user func. This is basically the manual way that we can use to call a function. Then the first argument is the name of the function, and I want this prefix rule, then underline, and I concatenate the name of that rule, so rule parts 0. Okay, and then the arguments of this function, let's see, we need a field, then the data, and let's see, rule parts 1, which is that mean value. Okay, right here, if we do not have this character found, this substring found in our rule, it means we have a simple rule. So we can say result call user func, we have rule, then simply rule, then the field and the data. Okay, if this result is not an empty string anymore, we say errors, and we add this result, this error message, in our errors array. Okay, let's start with those validation rule made of 2 parts. So function, let's see, rule mean, we have the field, then we have the data, and then we have the mean. First we make sure this field is present. So if is set data field, okay, then we say if let's see, strlen data field, if this is less than mean, we want to return an error message. So return the field, let's see, field cannot be less than mean, let's see, characters long. We can do another one for max. So if this is mean, now we have max. Copy this and replace it everywhere. So max, max, and now we say if this is bigger than max, then the field cannot be bigger than max characters long. Okay, now we need that confirm rule function rule. Let's see, confirm, we have the field, the data, and then the confirm field. We have to make sure these 2 fields are present. So if is set data field and is set data let's see, confirm field, then if data field is not equal with, let's see, with the confirm field, then we say return the field, let's see, the field confirm field does not match, okay, the field, I think like that. Okay, now we have these 3 rules. Now we need the one for the simple validation rule. So we have function rule required, we have the field and the array data, which is by default an empty array. If this is not set, is set, so we have data field. So if this field is not present, or this field is empty, then we call that string function data field. Then we want to return an error message. So the field, let's see, field is required. Okay, and now the one for the email. So function rule email, a field array data, empty array by default. Once again, to make sure this is present, if is set data field. Okay, if this is not true, filter var data field. So I use that logical not operator, and then I have a filter validate email. So if this is not true, which means the email is not valid, we want to return an error message. So return the, let's see, the field is not a valid email address. Okay, and now we are done with all the validation functions. And after this main for each, we can say if count, let's see, errors. So if there are errors in our errors variable, then we say session set errors, and we say we use that errors variable to save it in our session, and we return false. It means that the validation did not pass, otherwise we return true. And I think we are done. Hopefully we do not have errors. Okay, let's see data rules. So we have to change this. Be very careful, change this to data rule in our second for each. And I think now we are done. Back to our register.php, we can remove, let's see, all these lines. So remove everything. If this is not true, validation, then we simply say redirect register. Save. Now back to our browser, refresh, click sign up. The field username is required if we add just 2 characters. Okay, the field username cannot be less than 3 characters long. Okay, now back to our register.view.php, change this email input to text, refresh, add a valid value right here, an invalid value right here, click sign up. The field email is not a valid email address. Perfect. Okay, test arontest.com. Let's see, click sign up. The field password is required. Okay, so we have test arontest.com, and add a value right here bigger than 8. Let's see, the field password confirm is required, so we have once again something like this, test arontest.com. Then we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, once again 1 2 3 and so on, and click sign up. And let's see, the field password does not match the field password confirm. Maybe we have an error. Go back to our functions.php. Let's see, so we have rule confirm. If data field does not match confirm field, of course we have data confirm field. Okay, refresh. So test arontest.com, once again 1 2 3 4 8, 1 2 3 8, click sign up. Perfect, no errors. So this is working fine, and this is how we made our code much better and cleaner. It was quite messy to have all those if statements that deal with form validation. I hope you found this really useful, and see you in the next one.